Hello, dear boys. Today, let us continue the remaining part of your history, chapter number 5. The name of the topic, Rulers and Buildings. So, let us see page number 65, the last paragraph. Why were temples destroyed? Destroyed means, boys, damaged. Because kings built temples to demonstrate their devotion to God and their power and wealth. It is because of kings. They used to build temples in order to demonstrate. Demonstrate means give a practical exhibition and explanation of their devotion to God and their power and wealth. It is not surprising that when they attacked one another's kingdom, they often targeted these buildings. So, boys, here it is not surprising that when any king he attacked another's kingdom, at first they always targeted these buildings. In the early 9th century, when the Pandya king Srivallabha invaded Sri Lanka and defeated the king Senavan, the Buddhist monk and chronicler Dhammakirti noted he removed all the valuables. See, in the early part of 9th century was when the Pandya king, whose name was Srivallabha, he invaded means enter and occupy Sri Lanka and defeated means having been beaten the king Senavan, the Buddhist monk. Senavan, he belongs to Buddhist community, Buddhist sadhu, okay, monk means sadhu or sannyasi or sage, okay, and chronicler Dhammakirti noted he removed all the valuables. So here the chronicler means a person who writes occurrences of important or historical events. His name Dhammakirti noted. Dhammakirti was as remarkable. He removed all the valuables. At the time he took out all the valuables. The statue of the Buddha made entirely of gold in the jewel palace and the golden images in the various monasteries, all this he sized. Here the statue of the Buddha, okay, the statue of Lord Buddha, it was made entirely of gold metal in the jewel palace, okay, and the golden images in the various monasteries, all this he sized. So the golden statue images in the various monasteries. Monasteries means building where monks living under religious vows. Okay. So all this he sized. It was sized by him, all that gold. The blow to the pride of the Sinhalese ruler had to be avenged, and the next Sinhalese ruler, Sena II ordered his general to invade Madurai, the capital of Pandyas. Here you see the blow to the pride of the Sinhalese. Sinhalese means uh, the people of Sri Lanka is known as Sinhalese. So this Sinhalese ruler, their ruler, okay, the ruler of Sri Lanka had to be avenged. Avenged means inflict harm in return for. And the next Sinhalese ruler, Sena II, ordered his general to invade Madurai. So, see, Sena II, the next Sinhalese ruler, he ordered his general to enter Madurai. Madurai is the capital of the Pandyas. The Buddhist chronicler noted that the expedition made a special effort to find and restore the gold statue of the Buddha. Here, the Buddhist chronicler, follower of Buddhist, okay, here noted that the expedition means a journey undertaken by a group of people with a purpose, okay. So, made a special effort. Effort means determined attempt in order to find and restore. Restore means reestablish the gold statue of the Buddha. Similarly, in the early 11th century, when the Chola king Rajendra first built a Shiva temple in his capital, he filled it with prized statues seized from defeated rulers. In the same way was in the first part of 11th century, when the Chola king Rajendra first built a Shiva temple in his capital, he filled it with prized statues. Okay, so he filled that with prized statues which seized from defeated rulers. Okay, which he brought from defeated rulers. An incomplete list included a sun pedestal from the Chalukyas, a Ganesha statue, and several statues of Durga, a Nandi statue from the eastern Chalukyas, an image of Bhairava, a form of Shiva. Okay, Bhairava is a form of Shiva verse, and Bhairavi from the Kalingas of Odisha, and a Kali statue from Palas of Bengal. It has mentioned about that different statues, okay, such as uh, here Kali statue, Bhairavi statue, Ganesh statue, etc. Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni was a contemporary of Rajendra I. Sultan Mahmud was from Ghazni. He was a contemporary of Rajendra I. Contemporary means living or occurring at the same time of Rajendra I. During his campaigns in the subcontinent, he also attacked the temples of defeated kings and looted their wealth and idols. So when he was campaigning there, okay, campaigns means an organized course of action to achieve, okay, in the subcontinent. He also attacked the temples of defeated kings and he stole goods. Looted means steal goods with their wealth and idols. Okay, whatever property, wealth was there or image was there, it was looted by him. Sultan Mahmud was not a very important ruler at the time, but by destroying temples, especially the one at Somnath, he tried to win credit as a great hero of Islam. See, Sultan Mahmud, he was not a very important ruler during that period, but by destroying, by damaging temples, especially the Somnath temple, which he damaged, he tried to prove or win credit as a great hero of Islam. He want to show this. He is a great hero of Islam. Okay, Islam belongs to Muslim community. In the political culture of the Middle Ages, most rulers displayed their political might and military success by attacking and looting the places of worship of defeated rulers. So, in the political culture, okay, of the Middle Ages, their most rulers they displayed, okay, their political energy, okay, might and political energy or political strength and military success by attacking and looting the places of worship of defeated rulers. There at the time, what they used to do, they used to loot, that means the places of worship, okay, by attacking that defeated rulers. Gardens, tombs, and forts. Under the Mughals, architecture became more complex. Babur, Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir, and especially Shah Jahan were personally interested in literature, art, and architecture. So, boys, under the Mughals, under the rule of Mughal emperor, architecture means the art or practice of designing and constructing buildings became more complex. Okay, it becomes more complicated. So Babur, Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir, and especially Shah Jahan, they were personally interested in literature and art and architecture. They are interested of this literature, art, and architecture. In this autobiography, Babur described his interest in planning and laying out formal gardens placed within rectangular walled enclosures and divided into four quarters by artificial channels. So, in his autobiography, see, in his own life story, Babur, he explained, he described his interest in planning and laying out formal gardens placed within a rectangular wall enclosures. Okay, placed within rectangular wall enclosure. Enclosure means the state of being enclosed and divided into four quarters by artificial channels. So here in figure 10, that means you can see this one. Okay, these gardens were called Chaharbagh, four gardens, because of their symmetrical division into quarters. These gardens, okay, of that Babur were called Chaharbagh. Chaharbagh means it is a Urdu word, okay, boys. It means four gardens because of their symmetrical means made up of exactly similar parts facing each other around an axis showing symmetrical division into quarters. Beginning with Akbar, some of the most beautiful Chaharbags were constructed by Jahangir and Shah Jahan in Kashmir, Agra and Delhi. So starting with Akbar, some of the most beautiful Chaharbags were constructed by Jahangir and Shah Jahan in Kashmir, Agra and Delhi. See here in figure number 9. It is mentioned here. Okay. There were several important architectural innovations during Akbar's reign. So there were different important architectural innovation which took place during the rule of Akbar. For inspiration, Akbar's architects turned to the tombs of his Central Asian ancestors. So for inspiration means specially to do something creative. Okay, Akbar's architects turned to the tombs of his Central Asian ancestors. Taimur, the central towering dome and the tall gateway became important aspects of Mughal architecture, first visible in Humayun's tomb. So, Taimur, the central towering dome, the tall gateway became important aspects of Mughal architecture, which was first visible in Humayun's tomb. It was placed in the center of a huge formal chahar bhag and built in the tradition known as Eight Paradise or Hast Vishisht, a central hall surrounded by 8 rooms. Here it was placed, that Humayun's tomb was placed in the center of a huge formal chaharbagh and built in the tradition known as Eight Paradise. It was that means traditionally known as Eight Paradise or Hast Bihisht, a central hall surrounded by 8 rooms. There was a central hall which was surrounded by 8 rooms. The building was constructed with red sandstone edged with white marble. So that building, it was constructed with red sandstone and the outside limit of that building was with white marble. It was during Shah Jahan's reign that the different elements of Mughal architecture were fused together in a grand harmonious synthesis. So it was at the time of or ruling period of Shah Jahan that the different elements of Mughal architecture were fused together in a grand harmonious synthesis. Synthesis means the combination of components or elements to form a connected whole. Okay, here harmonious, peaceful, that one, the peaceful synthesis. His reign witnessed a huge amount of construction activity, especially in Agra and Delhi. So his rule, okay, that is Shah Jahan's rule. It proved a huge amount of construction activity. Okay, great number of construction it took place, especially in Agra and Delhi. The ceremonial halls of public and private audience, Diwan-i Khas or were carefully planned. So the ceremonial halls where all people gathered for any ceremonial purposes of public and private audience, they were carefully planned. These courts were also described as chihil, shutun, or 40-pillared halls placed within a large courtyard. So these courts, they were also described as chihil, shutun, or 40-pillared halls, okay, which was placed within a large courtyard. Courtyard means an a roofed area which we kept just in front of our houses. Shah Jahan's audience halls were specially constructed to resemble a mosque. Shah Jahan's audience hall, most probably, it used to construct it, or it looks like a mosque. The pedestal on which his throne was placed was frequently described as the Qibla, the direction faced by Muslims at prayer, since everybody faced that direction when court was in season. So the pedestal means the base or support on which a statue is mounted, on which his throne was placed, was frequently described as the Qibla. The direction, Qibla means the direction which is faced by Muslims at prayer, since everybody faced that direction when court was in season. The idea of the king as a representative of God on earth was suggested by these architectural features. So, about the idea of the king as a representative of God on earth was suggested by these features of architectural. The connection between royal justice and the imperial court was emphasized by Shah Jahan in his newly constructed court in the Red Fort at Delhi. See the connection in between royal justice, the king's justice, and the imperial. Okay, imperial means relating to an emperor court. It was emphasized. It was given special importance by Shah Jahan in his newly constructed court in the Red Fort at Delhi. Behind the emperor's throne were a series of Paitradura inlays that depicted the legendary Greek god Orpheus playing the lute. So, apart from the emperor's throne, were a series of Paitradura inlays. Paitradura inlays means inlay technique of using cut and fitted, highly polished colored stones to create images. Okay, and depicted means represented by a drawing, painting, or other art form. Okay, and depicted the legendary described in the base of legends. Okay, that is called legendary Greek god Orpheus playing the lute. Lute means a plucked strings instrument. Okay, it was believed that Orpheus' music could calm ferocious beasts until they resided together peaceably. So it was the belief of the people. Okay, it was believed that Orpheus' music, it could calm, it could make silent. Okay, peace. That ferocious beast, the danger beasts, until they resided together peaceably. The construction of Shah Jahan's audience hall aimed to communicate that the king's justice would treat the high and the low as equals, where all could live together in harmony. So, the construction of Shah Jahan's audience hall, it aimed to communicate that the king's justice would treat the high and low as equals, where all could live together in peacefully. Okay. In the early years of his reign, Shah Jahan's capital was at Agra, a city where the nobility had constructed their homes on the banks of the river Yamuna. So, in the first part of uh, the ruling of Shah Jahan, so his capital was at Agra. Agra, it is a city where the nobility means noble in character, okay, had constructed their homes on the banks of river Yamuna. These were set in the midst of normal gardens constructed in the Chaharbagh format. So these were set in the middle part of formal gardens, so constructed in the Chaharbagh format. The Chaharbagh garden also had a variation that historians describe as the river front garden. Here, the Chaharbagh garden, it also had a change that historians describe as the riverfront garden. In this, the dwelling was not located in the middle of the Chaharbagh, but at its edge, close to the bank of the river. So, in this, the dwelling means a house, flat, or other place of residence. Here, it was not located in the middle of the Chaharbagh, but at its edge, close to the bank of the river Yamuna. Okay. Shah Jahan adapted the riverfront garden in the layout of the Taj Mahal, the grandest architectural accomplishment of his reign. Shah Jahan, adapted means he modified the riverfront garden in the layout arranged here, okay, of the Taj Mahal, the grandest architectural accomplishment of his reign. Grandest means magnificent architectural accomplishment here of his rule. Here the white marble mausoleum was placed on the terrace by the edge of the river, and the garden was to its south. So here what he has done, the white marble mausoleum was placed. Okay, mausoleum means a stately or impressive building housing a tomb or group of tombs. Okay, was placed on a terrace. Terrace means a paved area next to a building. Okay, by the edge of the river, and the garden was to its south. Shah Jahan developed this architectural form as a means to control the access that nobles had to the river. So Shah Jahan, he developed, okay, this architectural here form. Architectural means relating to the art or practice of designing and constructing building form, okay, as a means to control the access that nobles had to the river. In the new city of Shahjahanabad that he constructed in Delhi, the imperial palace commanded the riverfront. So, in the new city, which is known as Shahjahanabad, there he constructed in Delhi the imperial, okay, imperial means relating to an empire relating to an empire, okay, means the imperial, that imperial palace, that kingdom commanded the riverfront. Only specially favored nobles like his eldest son Darashukho were given access to the river. Okay, his eldest son, mark it here, okay, boys. Here, Darashukho was his eldest son, were given access to the river. All others had to construct their homes in the city way from the river Yamuna. So, all others they had to construct their homes in the city way from the river Yamuna. Region and empire. As construction activity increased between the 8th and 18th centuries, there was also a considerable sharing of ideas across regions. The traditions of one region were adapted by another. So, as that means this construction work it increased in between the 8th and 18th centuries. There was also notably large in size regarding sharing of ideas across regions. The traditions of one region were adapted by another. In Vijayanagara, for example, the elephant stables of the rulers were strongly influenced by the style of architecture found in the adjoining sultanates of Bijapur and Golconda. So, in Vijayanagara, boys, as example, the elephant stables. Stables means where the building for keeping horse, elephants like that. Okay, so the elephant stables of the rulers they were strongly influenced here by the style of architecture found in the adjoining sultanates. Adjoining means joined with sultanates of Bijapur and Golconda. See there in chapter number 6 it is given. Okay. In Vrindavan near Mathura, temples were constructed in architectural styles that were very similar to the Mughal palaces in Fatehpur Sikri. So in Vrindavan, which is near Mathura, their temples were constructed, built in architectural styles which were very much similar to the palaces of Mughal in Fatehpur Sikri. The creation of large empires that brought different regions under their rule helped in this cross fertilization of artistic forms and architectural styles. So, the creation here, the action of bringing existence, okay, the action of bringing into existence of large empires here that brought different regions under their rule helped in this cross fertilization of artistic forms and architectural styles. Here what happened? It helped in this cross fertilizing of artistic forms, means related to fine art forms and architectural styles. Mughal rulers were particularly skilled in adapting regional architectural styles in the construction of their own buildings. Mughal rulers, they were particularly skilled in adapting, means they were skilled in modifying regional architectural styles in the construction of their own buildings. In Bengal, for example, the local rulers had developed a roof that was designed to resemble a thatched hut. So, in Bengal, as example, the local rulers were ruling there. They had developed a roof that was designed to resemble a thatch. Thatch means was cover a roof or a building with straws or a similar material. Okay, thatched hut is that. It is a hut whose roof is built with straws or a similar material. The Mughals like this Bangla dome. See figure in chapter number 9. Mughal, they like this Bangla dome so much that they used it in their architecture. They like it very much. So they used it in their architecture. The impact of other regions was also evident. So the influence of other areas, it was also evident. Okay. In Akbar's capital at Fatehpur Sikri, many of the buildings here in Akbar's capital at Fatehpur Sikri, many of the buildings bear the impact of the architectural styles of Gujarat and Malwa. So in Akbar's capital, the capital of Akbar at Fatehpur Sikri, many of the buildings, here, they bear the impact of the architectural styles of Gujarat and Malwa. There, what happened? In Akbar's capital at Fatehpur Sikri, many of the buildings they suffer the influence of the architectural styles of Gujarat and Malwa. Even though the authority of the Mughal rulers waned in the 18th century, the architectural styles developed under their patronage were constantly used and adapted by other rulers whenever they tried to establish their own kingdoms. Even though the authority, means the power of right, was having the power of right of the Mughal rulers, one means became weaker in the 18th century. The architectural styles developed under their patronage, under the support given by a patron, were always used and modified by other rulers whenever they tried to establish their own kingdoms. So here is the end of the chapter. Thank you all.